Las Vegas. We are live here with the WGLNA Finals. Joined alongside me is, of course, Dan Frodan Cho, my co-host. Dan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I was really excited to see River of Blood make it one hell of a series with Simp. But in the end, Simp was able to barely etch it out. In the end, that's what people expected, but River of Blood put up one hell of a fight.
Definitely so. And I do want to also introduce a new guest to the stage. It is, of course, Soviet from Team Fulcrum. Soviet, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Excited to be here.
Well, we're excited for you to be here. Congratulations with your first win so far in the round of 8. Now we move over to our next match. It's going to be Scurry versus Wreak Havok. Let me get your opinions on these two teams first.
I think what we saw with Simp and River of Blood, two teams that are very good, and we're able to take it 2-2 and make it very exciting. We're going to see the same from Scurry and River of Blood. I'm sorry, Wreak Havok, and we'll see some close games.
All right. So maybe it's a very, very even play, you're saying, from the two teams?
We're getting closer to the seeds that are actually right next to each other, right?
Gotcha.
So it's...
Yeah, I mean, these two teams have a lot of members from the Havok clan and Wreak Havok, obviously from Havok, but they do have members from Sim, from other teams as well. And they're very familiar with each other's styles, but just like it was pointed out right before the match by an interview by some of the Simp guys, Wreak Havok isn't complete here, Andre. They're missing Call Me Sarge, one of their main shot callers, and as a result, Snipe for Food will be burdened with doing all of the direction with the battles.
Yeah, going to be a little bit difficult, so we'll see how that actually goes to affect them. I'll talk a little bit more about the statistics as we go on, but also I want to concentrate on the other team, Scurry. They've also gone through a little bit of a mix-up as well. They're without Squirrel in right now.
That's right. So both these teams have made big changes, but let's see how they're going to adjust to it and get ready for our pre-match ceremony with the wonderful Lauren Elise.
Thank you so much, Dan. I am here again with the next two teams that are ready for battle. To my right, I have Wreak Havok, and to my left, I have Scurry. And their team captains are going to accompany me as I ask them a few questions, which are going to be Blasi and Snipe. Hi. Blasi. There they are! I was looking for you. I know you tried to leave, but you'll never get away from me. How do you feel about being here today?
Oh, it's a lot of fun, pretty exciting. I enjoy Vegas.
Are you a gambling man?
No.
So what do you enjoy about Vegas?
There's just lots of stuff to do here.
Lots of ladies.
Yeah.
How are you feeling today? I know there's a lot of energy here, a lot of people that are rooting for you guys. How does it feel to be in Vegas?
It feels awesome, a lot of fun, you know, a lot of energy just in the town in general, so it's gonna be fun. Great place for a tournament.
Have you been to the tables yet at all?
No, not yet.
No?
No, not
Oh, just everything on red or black, like Ben said. You gotta follow that advice. He's a good winner. Do you have any words that you would like to say to your opponent, either nice or not so nice?
Well, I mean, we're looking forward to the challenge and all that. I mean, they were able to make it here, and they're doing pretty good, so, you know, we're looking forward to it. But, do you work out, bro?
What do you have to say to that guy?
Well, you know, on occasion, but I have to ask, what's the better Legion team?
Oh my goodness. You guys are pretty comical. What we're gonna do, since you have the higher seat, we're gonna flip a coin. It can be heads or tails. There's no other option. You call it when it goes in the air. If you win, you get to pick the map, or you can defer it, and you get to pick the map. Whoever doesn't pick the map gets to pick the spawning point. Simple enough, right? Okay. Ready? Heads or tails? It's obviously in the very dark corner. Tails! What'd you say? Heads. Oh, well.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and defer.
We'll do steps.
And you get to pick the spawning point.
We choose north.
All right, so you heard it. Men, please take your seats. You can go back now. Thank you. I like your mohawk. All right. Good luck, have fun. You have 3 minutes to pick your tanks. Let's battle.
Thank you, Lauren.
So much.
How awesome was that? Blasi looks over at Snipe and says, "Bro, do you even work out?" And then Snipe looks back at him and says, "Why, yes, my good fellow, sometimes on a blue moon I hoist weight over my head." And then Blasey didn't know how to respond.
Exactly.
That's
He was-
exactly
he
how
was
I should have
baffled.
answered in college.
Just gonna well, now you can actually say you work out.
Yeah, maybe from time to time. But you know, as much as he might be working out from time to time, he has some big lifting to do in the absence of Sarge. Because again, Snipe, he's not necessarily the one who always calls the shots, even though he's the captain. He kind of shares it with positioning calls, maybe sometimes directs things here and there, but it's mainly Sarge who also comes up with a lot of strats. Like we saw some KV5 action on the Ruinberg all the time trying to say, shoot me, and Sarge in the J6 area, while Wreak Havok would push south or west side instead.
You know, I was just going to talk about that. That kind of speaks to their style a little bit. They are those one-trick pony type of people that we're probably not going to see that KV5 style on Ruinberg anymore. And if we do, shame on you, because that's going to be hard countered pretty easily. The fact of the matter is, we see these little tiny things where it's like, okay, well, how comprehensive are you in your decision making? Are you just countering exactly what you see, or are you countering the range of what I'm possibly doing? And that's a tricky style to go up against if you are Scurry hard.
Well, it seems like we do have a bit of a technical difficulty in terms of logging in, so we're going to take a quick commercial break and get everything settled out. But when we come back, we promise the first match between Scurry Hard and Wreak Havok will begin here at the WGL Season 1 Finals. Welcome back, everybody, to the WGL Season 1 Finals here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're getting ready for our match, our third match between Scurry Hard and Wreak Havok. Now, there was a technical issue. One of the players was not able to log in, so we will give him a couple of minutes before the official 3-minute counter begins. But why don't we take the opportunity to get to know the third member on our team currently, which is Soviet from Fulcrum Gaming to my far right. So, Soviet, I kind of want to ask you to start things off. You are a player that's very well known to stream a lot. You're very well connected to both the Russian and the English-speaking community here in North America. Where does North America currently sit amongst, or where do you think they rank in the international scene? Can they compete with the Russians or even some of the other European teams?
Tough question. The U.S. right now it has a lot of potential, and definitely now that we have a league that's stable, very well organized,
Thank you.
we are able to grow.
I tried really hard.
We're able to grow in North America, and as we saw in the previous international competitions, Russia is very strong. There's no doubt about it. They did have about a year start on us in the U.S. in terms of tournaments and competitive play. 742 format is rather new for the U.S. But at the same time, we were able to learn a lot from the videos and the footage that we have from the Russian teams and Europe as well. Europe is actually dominated by the Russian teams as well. Virtus.pro and Dignitas, both coming in from Russia, playing in Europe. At this time, very tough question to answer whether we can definitely be up there. And I think our top teams here in North America can put up a great fight against any other top team in those regions.
Now, you say top teams, I'm sure you're referring to, let's just say, take these two arbitrarily, you guys and Team Simp. Outside of that, do you see the North American scene still staying competitive within that Russian scene, or do you see it like it's falling off? Because let's be honest, a lot of these viewers say, well, Fulcrum and Simp, they're large outliers in the North American scene. How far away are these other guys?
Most definitely. The lower seeded teams in our league can definitely do just as good in other leagues in Europe and Russia. In fact, if we look at Russia and Europe, there's just as many teams that are good, the top, let's say, 2-3 seeds. And then the bottom seeds are just as competitive here as we are in North America.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much for that brief explanation. I do have some good news is that first game between these two teams has begun. And so let's get started for our first battle. It is going to be on steps between Scurry Hard and Wreak Havok. Let's go ahead and introduce our teams. In the northern side, from the blue team, it is Wreak Havok. And the south side, in the red, we have the higher seeded team. They did really well in the regular season. It is Scurry Hard.
You can also just play games. You can have the 1390 be an active scout, make it incredibly hard. Oh,
He finds it,
say
and he
that.
gets a big shot, but Rylak is tracked, which might give opportunity for Unknown One to get some flank shots
yeah.
and add some DPS,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Callus is just ricocheting off the front of the T-32, not able to penetrate as much as he wants to, and Rylak, he's gonna line up another shot, but he catches on fire, has to use that automatic fire extinguisher, but we do see that Callus lives with 92 hit points, and that is the roll that they needed. Only gets a track shot, not able to finish off his opponent.
Yeah, Khalees misses twice critically. That could have been game over for Rylak, but all of a sudden now it's two tier 8 tanks, and Rylak lining up a shot.
This could still
on
happen if he gets a high roll.
If he gets it, no, he doesn't. Wait, well, hold on. Oh, he
Unknown One
misses.
barely gets away. Again, it's still anyone's game. 1390 has more than enough ammo, but he'll need perhaps 2 shots to pick it off. But again, high rolls could change the entire outcome of this battle. If you get lucky, Greetorp, you only need 1 if you're Rylak.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, Unknown One does have the ability to just basically spray out shots. As soon as he's able to kind of triangulate his opponent's position, he will be a lot better. And remember, that camo comes into effect so much. I love the decision to go over to the west side where all the bushes are and really utilize the fact that he is a light tank. It's a lot harder for that T-32 to be able to spot out the 1390. That way you get a couple of pot shots, return into some cover, and you're good to go.
So if you are in Rylak's position, how do you approach this? How do you scout out the 1390? Or do you think you just, is it just a play for a draw at this point?
Right now, it looks like it's a play for a draw. The 1390 is running away, kiting the T-32. But the T-32 has to take advantage of that strong armor on the turret. So hold-on positions, using those ridges and steps, either south or north. Perhaps even going down the middle here would be a good option. It will depend whether Unknown One lights the T-32 and makes a proper decision. Right now, both tanks are driving away from each other, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, it looks like there's only going to be realistically this one round for Unknown One if he wants to be that one that lights up his opponent and then is able to do damage. 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. What an exciting game number 1 already. And I feel like Unknown One isn't going to risk it. Why, unnecessarily try to brawl against the T-32 in game number 1? Just go off with the draw and restart in game number 2.
Essentially just take the game off the match history and start off 0-0 again, but what an exhilarating skirmish and firefight that ends up resulting in, well, it looked like Scurry Hard was in a quite tough position, but they've managed to turn it around, and again, Rylak able to come through in the clutch. And, sure, he missed it. He got the track shot, but at least he was able to finish off his opponent. Unknown One just going to continue to drive circles as the countdown comes to 25 seconds. Don't think we're actually going to see any resolution in this game.
No, definitely not. It's going to draw out, ladies and gentlemen. But man, oh man, was this exciting! I feel like to an extent, Wreak Havok could have won it though with the T-69. If he just got those 2 shots on the T-32, he would have been a lot better. And keep in mind, the T-32, it is consistent fire. He doesn't have that burst. So as the T-69, if you know you're being focused, just drive straight up, get the right shot, and be able to do damage.
Well, it does turn out to be a draw, so let's take a break and we come back, get reset for battle number 2. We would normally introduce the teams. We already got some peppering as Blasi did get a big spot on many of Wreak Havok's tanks over into the north side. Wreak Havok, the red team in the north, or blue team rather, and the red team is Scurry Hard over in the south. Blasi once again being one of the most important members of Scurry Hard because of how he's active scouting while also trying to make some shot calling for their team.
Yeah, Blasi's just been stepping up so much, and it's important to know that he's one of the best all-around tankers in the entire league. This guy knows how to play light tanks, knows how to play heavy tanks, and that's something to have a really hard mastery of in such a competitive field in the WGLNA.
Now, it is a little bit of an aggressive opening from Wreak Havok initially. It reminded me of, well, Ermagerd Vern's bum rush down the center, but instead of going straight over the bowl, or into the bowls over the center ridge, they've kind of spread themselves out along like a football formation. Now, Blasi does get 2 important spots on the 1390s and the T-69, played by Callus and Singh, but the T-32s are now into a strong position, and once again, bringing T-32s into an open map.
And there it is. They really love doing this, the T-32s on proc. And I don't blame them. They have a very nice way of maintaining that map control, maintaining that center control, which is so important on this map. It actually shuts down a bunch of lanes, and then all of a sudden, you use your T1s in a much better situation. Instead of just being passive spots, you're able to actually put cap pressure and force an engagement in the center.
Devix has been spotted, and Blasi will promptly eliminate him. And Scurryhard's been doing such a good job getting these chips in. There's just been three members of Wreak Havok getting one shot less, and that just gives him less hit points to play with. And Soviet, that's just huge, especially with how aggressive Scurryhard's playing.
Definitely. Your eyes are very important on this map.
Now, what's a good way to approach these T-32s that are obviously pushing down the center, trying to take more and more map control? With all these defilades, I would say it's so hard to really punish those T-32s since they can always get into hold down position.
At the same time, once you know where they are, you can avoid them, kite them around the map, and put some cap pressure, forcing them back to the base, and then once they're in the open, rolling over those berms, that's when you take them out.
So as fast as they take, or I should say as slow as they take that position, you just go for the cap, not really trying to cap out, force them out of position once again.
Just put a little bit of pressure there and
then
make them react.
You can continue kiting with good active scouting. Definitely a great way to do that. We'll see. I mean, it really comes down to the light tanks on this map, I would say.
That's Blasi here trying to really push the issue. Although Rylak and Dodo trying to continue to push the envelope. And we do have a member from Wreak Havok spotted. Thybane takes another shot in the T-69 and not really being able to return fire. This is playing exactly into T-32 hands, which is consistent fire in the T-69 while also unloading, get those quick reloads on the autoloader itself. But that's not going to be able to happen. Wreak Havok's losing too much health. And Thybane does die.
Yeah, that's a big hit. Those T-32s still very, very healthy. Rylak is down to 571 health, but let me tell you, he still has a lot of armor. It's hard to get those penetrating shots. Invade is going to come up, but instantly gets tracked, and down he will go. I was just kidding. Down he will go now.
Invade from Simp, not from Havok, doing a great job, but in this case, he'll have to sit out until the next battle. Singh does disengage. 4 members of Wreak Havok have dropped to Scurryhard, and Blasi being able to rain flanking shots the entire time. Phenomenal job getting the surround and pushing down the center, utilizing T-32s to their greatest potential. And now Blasi going in for the shot on a known one, does get the kill. Callus next on the list. And that'll mean only one player remains, and that is Singh, who is flirting over there by F2.
Yeah, he was just chilling, not really wanting to engage at all. Even the L-Tractor, Son of Hail, trying to dish out a little bit of damage here. You know, Son of Hail was telling me, in his L-Tractor, he's gotten up to 600 damage in a 7x42 game. 600 damage for his L-Tractor.
600 damage with a T1, which is very impressive considering that they can't really push out hundreds of damage at a time. We do have Singh managing to take out Blasi, which is nice, but that, again, is just less ammo for him to do anything. Meanwhile, capture has started in blue team's base as Singh continues to push up the forest line, but he's just stalling for time. Team can kind of gather themselves, talk about their next map, because there's really no chance for Wreak Havok to be able to escape with this with a win, as we do see Scurryhard take battle number 2 on Proc and send it to battle 3 with a lead.
Same exact lineups, ladies and gentlemen. I will remind you, 4 T-69s and a 1390 for Wreak Havok, 2 5100s, and 3 T-69s over on Scurryhard. Scurryhard definitely has a DPM advantage, which is damage per minute, but the fact of the matter is, they don't have reliable active scouts. With that 1390, you're able to do a lot of work and empower those T-69s, so we'll see how Invade does. It's important to note, Invade is one of the top scouts in the game.
That's right. They're putting up good statistics overall. I think he will be the key, because we all know that these guys know how to brawl. Both Scurryhard and Wreak Havok can brawl with the best of them. In fact, that's what Scurryhard prides himself in. That's why they bring such a big, intense lineup with 5100s and a T-69s. And they're looking for a fight. They're trying to go up the western high road, but instead we see Wreak Havok taking more of an eastern approach. Soviet, what do you think about playing, because it seems like more teams are playing more to the east nowadays?
Yeah, Abbey is one of those maps that where engagements can take a long time, and that's this is exactly the point of this map where the sides are so secluded. You can, depending on which lane you take, you can either have a really quick fight, and usually that's the 1-2. A lot of teams favor that, or a really
drawn-out fight, and it really depends on T1 play. T1 is critical on this map. Spotting and then staying alive, because staying alive, you can add cap pressure, which is very important on this map.
Yeah, we've seen good cap pressure from Wreak Havok when they played against Strike in one of their first series of WGL Season 1, where they barely won. They lost the brawl, but Strike was not able to get back in time, and two T1s outcapped their opponents for a Battle 5 victory. Exhilarating series, but that's kind of what speaks to exactly what Sylvia's talking about. It's a little bit tough if you don't have the mobility to deal with cap pressure, counter cap pressure. That's why it's most important for everybody to stay alive as long as possible, Vitor.
That's right. And especially Invade, I would say. I mean, he's going to be, honestly, the key point to which who's going to win and who's going to lose. If Invade loses or dies right away in this series, it doesn't matter if it's a trade for like a 1394 or a 5100. It's still a bad trade, because the real advantage of this 1390 is the mobility, the active scouting, and the ability to empower your other tanks. So for T69s, you really don't want to relegate a T69 to just, scout out and see what's going on, because that's when things get really, really troublesome, and you can lose to the T69, which does represent such great TPM.
I do like keeping one T69 a little bit farther back around the H3 block, and that allows Thorn to get some nice crossfire if anybody was peeking over the hill on the J row. We do see some 1390s like to poke out over there. That's more of Kufo's jam. He likes going around there along the 6th line. But now instead, we only saw Sniper Food for barely an instant and then backed off because he got all the information he needed. He says, there's some T1 spotting me somewhere along that K row, but that's to be expected because a lot of people leave a T1 in that spot.
That's right. And from here, I mean, where do the teams really go for you? We talked about the long drawn-out type of battles, and this is definitely going to be one of them. Soviet, how do both of them really approach each other, both aggressively or defensively, if they're just relegating to that?
Right now it comes down to gathering intelligence on the enemy team, figuring out where their tanks are. Now we see already T1 is lost on Scurry Hard's team, which is critical. You're losing your eyes. And losing your eyes on the map like this, a very complex map, a lot of places to hide, it dooms you because you can't be aggressive. And you become a passive team, and then it's just a matter of time for the other team to surround you and engage.
Couldn't have said it better myself, protecting T1s. You're doing a good job filling for Rootkill, because that's exactly what he would say. He always talks about the emphasis of protecting your T1s, and now that squirrel tag has dropped in the middle of the Abbey. He did see that Invade was there, so that does help with some intel, but by now he can almost be anywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, is there any better place for Invade to be at this point, right?
Not at the moment, because you don't want to be too far out of the fight where your team cannot support you. And if you lose and Invade, like you said, it's going to be critical. It's going to pretty much undermine all of the game plan of Wreak Havok.
I feel like until a lot of the tanks are traded out, or at least the T1s are traded out, Invade is always, or most likely, going to be there, right? He has good retreat paths, so going in there with Tanker, I really feel like that was unnecessary, losing T1 right away, but we are already down to 5 minutes in the game. Already half the battle has elapsed, so if Wreak Havok wants to do something with this T1 advantage, they have to start moving on it, because they are very, very passive as it stands.
T1, a Tanker, by the way, is squirrel tag, just to clarify, because he had login issues, has to use a different account. Now we saw that Scurry Hard pushed all the way. There's no sign of any tanks over in that little corner you can camp by B2, B3. So now Scurry Hard rotates and says, well, I know that they're not there. They have to be more towards the eastern side, and we did see Invade over into that Abbey. It all kind of makes sense. And now they're hurrying back because they don't want to be caught out of position for a quick cap if they're not set.
So far, it's just, on the side of Wreak Havok at least, it's just they're staying in their positions, now starting to mobilize. Now, I'm not sure about the timing right now, but it is 4 minutes in, so they are going to make their way all the way over to the southern position, looking like they want to cap out, but still, I haven't seen any spots on the side of Wreak Havok. That means they have no clue where the position of Scurry Hard is. And with that, this is a little bit of a gamble, but I think this gamble might pay off.
What do you think, Soviet, about the timing here that Wreak Havok's moving? There's still a lot of time to play, but they're trying to make something happen coming here on the east side.
Well, if they're able to set the tone here, they will force Scurry Hard to react. And that's exactly what you want to do on Abbey, because you don't want to be down south and miles away from the base. What's good here is Sniper Food has an awesome position here he's able to light any sort of fallback by Scurry Hard and provide awesome sniping positions for the T-69s.
Yeah, Sniper Food doing a good job, and now that he has a good spot, can continue to push out calls. Now we do have Callus spotted in T-69. In fact, 2 of them, a pair of T-69s with Thigh-Bane. But that's only 2 or 4 of them, and you don't know if everyone's waiting there. Again, a little bit more information is needed before Scurry Hard can make their move.
That's right. But as you can see, a T-69 is all the way over there. Sing is in the back, and of course, Invade is directly in the center. So they're going to be the ones that provide a lot of crossfire. Sniper Food moving out here. This is his sacrificial lamb. He's just trying to find exactly the coordinates of where everybody is, and he realizes, okay, it's Son of Hell that's actually spotting things out. Never mind.
Well, Kaneka does manage to finish off Sniper Food, and that's been revealed as well. But he does shoot it all the way back by the ledge instead. So I don't think anything was completely revealed with where Dodo and Rylak are.
Yep, so it's pretty even at this point, and again, a lot of stagnation. You know, Abby, it's really difficult. You might be asking yourself, why don't they just cap? Well, this is a very open field, as we can see. So going into that open field, that means you can be shot from every which way, even taking cover. You can probably take like 2, 3, 4 shots, and that's enough, honestly, for the other team to just go in and push. So that's why there's a lot of passivity, especially with these T-69s. They don't want to be brawling against AMX 5100s that just do so much more damage, but of course the T-69s have much better reload times.
2 minutes on the clock left, as we do see another rotation from Wreak Havok traversing back north up the eastern coast. Very interesting to see Scurry Hard play so defensive, because they usually been playing pretty aggressive by pushing and shoving with their T-32s on open maps. When it comes to Abbey, you know, Abbey is the only map that Scurry Hard's lost more than once on. They've lost twice during the regular season, and Abbey's the only map to do that. So it could be one of their weaker maps that they're not necessarily sure on 100% what they need to do at all times, because it seems like right now they're just being a little bit more defensive, and it's just not what I usually see Scurry Hard do.
Yeah, I mean, the real thing that they have to do, I think a good reaction would have actually been to shove out Invade from the center if they wanted to really take control of the map. Invade is the key point where you have to really say, well, if he's there, a lot of cross-fire can go down, and also they're getting great spots because that light tank is able to see a lot more. So if you pushed out Invade, stuck up a couple of tanks, especially some T-69s up there, all of a sudden you're in a position where you can be a lot more aggressive and potentially get the better flank just by slow, methodical pushes. That's going to be the best way, but of course, there's not enough time. There's not enough time right now. 42 seconds on the clock, and they've kind of just sat back. And
but that's the difficulty of playing on Abbey. That's why some teams just prefer not to try it at all. And some teams just go for a cap bash straight up from south side if they're that crazy. But there's not even enough time for a 3-man cap at this point. So unless a tier 8 drops for either side, we will see a draw and send it to Battle 4 with a 1-0 lead for Scurry Hard. And that kind of resets it to a best of 5 then, Greets, or the first to hit 3 would be the one to be a victor. As the final seconds are being counted down, I don't see any enemies in sight anywhere close from Wreak Havok in terms of Scurry Hard's position over in the Western Bloc. So that will do it. Another draw for this series. Let's go to battle number 4 after a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll see if either team will make the big move. In the top part of the map, we have the red team. It is Scurry Hard. In the south, we have the blue team. That is Wreak Havok with the KV-5. And we've seen this strategy employed multiple times, but what's so interesting about it is that Wreak Havok doesn't do the same thing every time. Sometimes they mix it up as well. Soviet, what's your take on this entire strategy, and kind of relate that to what Scurry Hard's doing?
Well, Wreak Havok has used it before, right? So if Scurry Hard goes and says, oh, we've seen this strategy before, we're not going to fall for it. But if Wreak Havok knows that this is going to happen and springs a trap on the KV-5, it's just going to be brutal, because as we see, Scurry Hard is a bit more dynamic. They have a little bit more firepower with IS-3s and 5100, 2 5100s there. And the KV-5 can soak so much damage. And if the 5100s are not careful with their shot placement on the KV-5, they can bounce just a bunch of shots and then reload for 40 seconds, which is going to undermine their whole plan.
I mean, if you think about one bounce from a 5100, it basically increases the health pool of that KV5 by 300 damage. That's an incredible amount, and you can't really do something like that. Unknown one. Oh, let me actually go over what the strat is that Wreak Havok has done
That's
throughout
right.
the
We're
the
assuming
group
everybody's
stages.
been watching the entire
Yeah.
season.
So what they do is they bring this KV5 out here, and it's basically fodder, right? It's saying, come attack me, I'm all out, I'm alone, and they kind of put it in a provocative situation where it's like, hey, I'm doing damage against you, you better attack me, and they're looking for an overcommitment. Then they take all 6 tanks and go for a cap fast. Now, why this is so interesting is they're doing the KV5, they're putting it in the same location that we saw previously, but they have a lot of backup. And they're hoping that their opponent, Scurry Hard, sees the KV5 and says, I know what you're doing, and all of a sudden, you have a trap that's ready to spring up by Wreak Havok.
What's interesting too is that Wreak Havok, when the KV5 wasn't getting shot at one time when they were playing against Simplistic, then the KV5 played by Sarge went to the opponent to try to draw shots and buy time for a cap fast. Now the first tank has been revealed, and I don't see who that is. It is, oh, it's Tevix in the T1, of course. Shout out to Tevix, as he was a phenomenal artillery player, but now also specializes in T1 and doing a good job of it. Son of Hail in his patented A6 bush. Every time I watch Son of Hail, he's in that bush on this map.
Who loves that bush, man? He's also an artillery player that got neutered after 8.6.
Yeah, it's a little tough on some of these guys, and you trade that tier 2 Bison with like a T71.
Really sad. Really, really. I think the only team that's not sad is probably Fulcrum Gaming.
Definitely not.
There's nobody on that team that would be upset with how everything changed. Absolutely not. Now on Ruinberg specifically, it's kind of that half city, half field map, but that's kind of why you usually want to control at least one of those areas, and we do have this Delta Village completely locked down for Scurry Hard, but they're not seeing any movement really other than Tevix T1 kind of threatening it. Oh, and now they finally get the spot on the KV5.
Okay, Unknown One pushing up to this rock. He can get a hold down position, sort of. It's so funny because the KV5 is big and clunky, so there's obviously a lot of tack passes, but he's doing a good job at reverse angling, making sure that the sharp edges are still, well, now the sharp edges aren't sticking out that much. But still, what he's doing is basically making it very hard for any opponent to penetrate his tank as the angle of attack comes into effect in World of Tanks.
Yep, and that could mean the difference between penetration or just a simple ricochet. If you're angled at a very sharp position to your opponent, then the shot just bounces off. And we'll see how that ends up panning into or coming into play. But for now, we finally see some movement out of Scurry Hard. They're going to send Squirrel Tag a little bit farther up, and now they're spreading themselves a little bit more, embracing in case there's a big flank, because they're not sure necessarily if Wreak Havok's waiting to spring over to the western side for a potential cap.
Just a lot of stagnation. And it looks like the 3 tanks over on Wreak Havok side, the IS-3s and the T-69, actually the IS-3 and the 2 T-69s are going to push up over into the west side saying, the west side, saying, okay, I know that you're not really committing too hard to the west because I have those T1s in proper locations. Let me just go ahead and take even more map control. And Scurry Hard,
Oh, that's brilliant.
they're giving up so much, and this just gives room for Wreak Havok, as Soviet would say, to just wrap around and get the surround that you need to have much better crossfire than your opponent.
This has Sarge's handwriting all over it. I imagine even if he's not here, he must be really proud of his boys being able to rotate like that. Sniper Food does get picked off by a shot from Dodo, but that does confirm where Scurry Hard is, and that gives Wreak Havok a little bit more confidence, even though they did shut out one of the lights.
All right, KV5 is pushing all the way up into the Delta Village, but remember, good crossfire on that EF line from the 3 tier 8 tanks that are over there. And there is a single light tank, the AMX 1390, being played by Invade to back up this 1 KV5. IS-3 is spotted out here. Rylac is going to take a shot, 225 damage. And additional shots, excuse me.
Ooh, he needs to be really careful. He's mounted by, and he does. Thybane able to wipe him out, and the worst part is no spots for potential counter shots. And just like that, Wreak Havok's able to turn around into a nice spot. Sure, they're only up 7 tier points, but they just have to find one of those T1s, and then they have a decisive advantage. Soviet, what is your take on how Scurry Hard's responding to this?
Well, Scurry Hard has to pretty much engage this KV5 now, because the KV5 is alone, and they can have some cover. Now that they know where Wreak Havok positioned their main force, right, in the city, they will be able to use the buildings, theoretically, to cover themselves from that fire. Rylak caught out of position there, getting a lot of damage, as you saw, just melts. Now the unknown one is really playing the main role for Wreak Havok. If he goes down right now, then it's the 8-point is eliminated, right? They do need one more point, correct?
Correct.
So, well, it's still going to be a big leveling blow to this team. KB5 is one of the highest damaging tier 8s, 2100 DPM out of that gun. So if you ignore it and don't go for the bait, you're going to, suffer a lot of damage.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, it's something to be feared. And it's kind of that balance of, do I actually focus the KB5 knowing that it'll take up a lot of my autoloader fire, or do I focus everything else and leave the KB5 for last and kind of make it like awkward? Really utilize that burst. Invade going to pop up here, sees 2 tanks. Is he going to take the shot? No, he is not. But being down a tier 8 definitely hurts quite a bit. Dodoma going to be spotted out yet again in his IS-3. I have to feel like Scurry hard countered what they thought was coming with the KB5. They were just saying, okay, I know you're going to go for a fast cap. Let me just push it. Or excuse me, let me just play defensive and receive you very accurately. But when it comes down to it, I feel like that's just such a linear way to play. You can't really hard counter that hard and expect your opponents not to change and kind of
adapt, because that's exactly what's Unknown One doing. How did he claim so much space? He's all the way in C0, and that's where he's going to set up the ambush, as Scurry Hard has kind of been caught in an interesting crossways, but there is a lot of shots going on Unknown One, and he does get lit up immediately. Blasi does manage to take some damage and trade it. So while Unknown One overextended slightly, Scurry Hard was able to pounce and all of a sudden even out the odds. And now we finally see that Wreak Havok's taking the opportunity to get some cap pressure.
And as soon as there's a quote-unquote bad position, all of a sudden Thybane, Khalees, and Singh are in pretty decent positions to be able to receive their opponents, although Singh is taking an exorbitant amount of damage, down to 556 hit points. T1 will go down. Thybane taking a big shot from Dodoma.
Ooh, very nice job, Dodo, being able to get the reset on one of the tanks.
Thybane.
Thybane has to be extremely cautious, needs to kind of rotate, loses vision though. Thybane does get lit for just a second, but Singh is trying to screen for as long as possible. 55 cap points with still many more on the way. Can Wreak Havok actually pull this out here?
It's going to be tough. Khalees is in front in that T69, the IS-3. Can Penn.
Dodo's just charging for it because he realized he only has about 5 seconds left to get something off. He sees Khalees, but he doesn't get the, he does get the reset on one of them.
And Neka is there with his 5100. Does he have the shots? I think he does. Singh one shot away from dying, but Thybane
but it might not even matter. Wreak Havok doesn't get the cap, even though it was on 99, as Dodo comes up big and gets the shot on Tevix. The reset has been launched, but Wreak Havok has also capitalized and counter shot, but it doesn't matter because there's almost no hit points left for Thybane to work with, and that is going to be lights out because Invade is going to have a much tougher time to go 2v1.
A big turnaround, and Neka is just going to sweep in here. Thybane only 74 hit points. He's trying to get good positioning. He has issues there, but yeah, there he goes.
Oh no, now Invade is the last member alive. He did a great job being able to get spots, or getting some shots rather, and being able to be really a nuisance. But now we finally have a tier 8 advantage for Scurry Hard with 1 second left to go. It is over for battle number 4. Scurry Hard leads. Welcome back once again, everybody, to the desk here at the WGLNA Season 1 Finals. Currently, Scurry Hard's up 2-0 over their opponents, Wreak Havok. But they also had 2 draws, so we head over into Battle 5 at match point for Scurry Hard, because if they win 1, that means there's only 2 more battles, and there's no way for Wreak Havok to come back.
Yeah, the best it could go to is 3-2. Of course, that's still a win for Scurry Hard. So this is where it comes down to. Himmelsdorf will be our next map for play. I got to throw it over to, of course, our Fulcrum and gamer over here, Soviet. Talk to me about Himmelsdorf in particular and these 2 teams with their styles.
Himmelsdorf comes down to not separating too much and making quick decisions. You're in close quarters. It's going to come down to very fine teamwork. You got to share the hit points, focus fire, and that's why a lot of teams struggle in the brawls. We have had issues with Himmelsdorf before as well. So Himmelsdorf is going to come down to fine teamwork and who seizes the initiative. If you're going to spread out on this map and not push into the enemy, you're going to just wait until you're surrounded and killed. So let's see what Wreak Havok and Scurry Heart does.
Can't wait to find out what's going to happen. Wreak Havok needs to win now if they want a shot in the semifinals, but Scurry Heart is inches away from victory. Let's get into the game. Welcome to Himmelsdorf. In the south side of the map, in the blue, we have Scurry Heart.
Nope, Wreak Havok.
We have Wreak Havok. I'm looking at Scurry Heart because they're on my screen. In the north, we have the red team. It is Scurry Heart. Thank you very much, Vitor.
Two 5100s, two IS-3s, and a single T-69. This is the absolute standard lineup for this map. I mean, this is the most consistent line of tanks that we've seen from every single team. But, you know, there's a lot of debate, in my opinion, how to actually open this map. There's a lot of metagaming, mind gaming. Some people like to play a lot of hill games. And I'm starting to think that I don't like hill games nearly as much. But we're going to see Invade and Thigh-Bane push up with Snipe for Food leading the charge. Oh,
and they're going to meet potentially 3 tier 8s as Blasi, Kaneka, and Thorn are all there waiting for a potential ambush. And that's kind of how the hill plays. It's a dynamic... well, it escalates pretty quickly. You bring the T1, you bring T69 to maybe help, and that T69 brings another T69. It just becomes this all-out brawl on the hills sometimes if teams eventually want to commit more resources while playing more defensive. The T1 has been discovered. Sniper Food gets some really important information and drops almost immediately. And from here, Scurry Heart can just kind of back off and let the hill play off itself because they did take out one of the T1s and has less to worry about.
Yep, there's zero reason for them to actually push forward because, well, I mean, they've already gotten the advantage. Why try to push it and go into a position where you're 5 tanks against 3 tanks? No real reason to do that. Now, with an extra eye on the ground, you're obviously able to make plays and get that eventual surround, as Soviet was saying in the beginning stage. You just need to play it very, very methodically.
Now we do see that Scurry Heart is backing off slightly, and now Wreak Havok has to respond by rotating. Instead, they're just going to completely shift over to the western side. What do you think about this, Soviet, as a reaction from what happened in the opening sequence of the game?
Well, losing the hill and losing your eyes is very important for for the game itself. Now that they have lost the hill, they're assuming that that's where they are, and they're going to negate the hill play by pushing the west side, the railroad. Railroad is much more open. It's gonna come down to who gets spotted first. We see Tevix is leading the charge there, which is very smart. You can see that if he goes down, it's well, at this point they're gonna be. They already know what's gonna happen, right? They're pushing down all this line. Tanker 01, which is Squirrel Tech, right?
Yeah, they want to take out one of those T1s just to even things out and not have it just play out naturally, because if they do, they will be far behind. And I like this west side push, knowing that their opponents really can't stay on that hill. They're going to play a lot more defensive over to the east side. I guess a little bit more worried that Tank Alley will be shot down. But of course, this is going to be nice. Tanker 01 or
Squirrel Tech
taken out.
That is a very good job as Tevix was, Thigh-Bane was able to finish it off from behind. And now Scurry Heart's been forced to kind of rotate because they did control the hill, but have they given up too much position? Although we have seen Scurry Heart freeze before in spots like this, but they're responding much quicker this time around, which I like.
But Wreak Havok has a really, really nice concave on their opponents. As you can see, Sing and Unknown One wrapping around, and they're going to get good crossfire.
It's going to be tough, though, because over the north side, Invade already has taken big damage from Dodo and Kaneka, but now the flank shots have begun. Kaneka has been tracked. He has to use his repair kit immediately and get out of there, but he did lose a significant chunk of his hit points.
Yeah, the IS-3s are just going to keep poking in and out, but there it is. Blasi's going to meet up with everybody. Amex 5100 He's really, really weak. You have to keep that in mind, but he does a lot of damage against the
Oh, no.
IS-3s. He will have a lot of time.
Dodo's extremely weak, and he's trying to back off, but he keeps bumping into walls. He's down to 31 hit points. He gets tracked as well. Is that the last shot? Dodo falls from a shot from Callus from way long distance. And now, all of a sudden, Scurry Hard's in an awkward position because they're getting flanked all over the place from Wreak Havok. Now, we do have a contra flank as a couple of members from Scurry Hard are trying to bum rush Sing, but that gives Thybane the opportunity to get a shot from behind, and he fishes off Kaneka.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. Just continuing the chase, but they were able to clean up both the IS-3s. That does help out a little bit. 25 tier points, 24 tier points, but Blasi is really, really low. I do want to say that Invade is low as well, but the fact of the matter is, I feel like the other two tanks are just a lot healthier.
Well, Rylak will be able to shut down this counter pressure, or this cap pressure, almost immediately. Tevix drops immediately, and that's going to be really tough. But while they do that, Callus is going to use this opportunity to try to bum rush Blasi or Thorn, get some shots off, but did come at the cost of his own health. That was something that Wreak Havok was able to do something in their favor because they did get the good trade on the hit points earlier. And now two members remain about 1 or 2 shots.
And here we go. Thybane is going to wrap in from behind. The IS-3 is facing the wrong way, and he's going to get back shots. Nicely done. The AMX 1500 is able to do whatever he wants to. Thybane is getting the money shots, and now taking Thorn down to 1 more shot. Everybody's 1 shot away from dying. Scurry Hard loses 2 tanks, 3 tanks in an instant, and that sweeps it out. Wreak Havok will take this game.
Battle 5 goes to Wreak Havok, showing some life. It's 1-2. Let's go to a break. When we come back, see if the comeback train is still on its way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Over on the side of Wreak Havok, who is starting on the eastern side, they have 3 IS-3s, an AMX 5100, and a T-69. But this is the real reason why I think Scurry Hard chose Airfield, empowering those T-32s. 2 of them and 3 T-69s over on that side, starting over to the western hemisphere. You know, this is a map where there's basically one direction to go to in order to brawl. All the other places are really difficult. You know, the GH lines, not really possible to have main engagements. The big airfield strip over on the C line, not really that possible because it's an open field. So you're relegated to the DE lines, and that's where the T-32s can really take over and do damage.
Sing taking some shots early on from across the bay, and that's going to be really tough for Wreak Havok if they want to go for big engagement. I do like what you said, Andre. It's a little bit tougher to get engagements on that G line, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. In fact, teams like the Cazadores like sending a T-32 there and kind of regulating all the movement over to the southern part of the map. But that's not what we're going to be looking at. We're seeing a big push once again from Wreak Havok, and Wreak Havok, Sniper Food is known to be a very aggressive shot caller, likes being really in-your-face type of strategies. And again, we're seeing Wreak Havok's true claws come out because they're, again, shoving super hard towards the hangars.
Yep, this is going to be a little bit tricky. T-32 played by Rylak is going to take a little bit of damage here. 1 shot goes off. One thing about those IS-3s, they do have much, much better chances of penetrating the hull, so that's one thing that you can say that's so good about them, especially with their APCR rounds instead of the T-69 heat rounds.
Scroll Tag doing a phenomenal job spotting all the tanks moving across the north while he's still hidden and perched up in that B4 bush. And that could be the huge Achilles heel as Thybane does turn around, but it's been, all information's already out there. And that's going to allow Scurry Hard to have an opportunity to move in, as right now Dodoma and Rylak will lead the charge, and we're going to have a brawl coming out pretty soon.
That's right, Invade is caught all alone in his AMX 5100. T-69 being played by Blasi is giving chase down to 640 hit points. 1 more shot will kill it.
Oh, Invade needs to get away. He doesn't. Thorn gets the shot, and automatically Wreak Havok starts off at a pretty significant disadvantage, but they have pulled out from worse situations. Son of Hail and T-69 about to come out. Thorn caught on fire. He needs to use his automatic fire extinguisher in order to get out of it. And a lot of people are low. Every single shot will count exponentially from this point on.
That's right, and Sing is just down to 297 hit points. He needs 1 more shot from an IS-3, not a T-69. Oh, and he uses the T-69.
Oh no! Thybane doesn't get in time to screen for Singing, and now all of a sudden he picked the fight with 3 tanks from Scurry Hard. Dodo is now in the face, and he can also block and make sure no one gets dead, but a good shot from Callus to be able to finish off Blasi. But Thybane's time is limited. Dodo cleans him up, which means it is still 4-on-4. Meanwhile, Tevix is trying to fight and try to potentially go for the cap. How will this all pan out? Grito, there's so much action going around the map.
I know, man. As soon as one battle ends, another one begins. Khalees now against Dodoma, a T-69 against a T-32. It's going to be tough, but remember, there is a tank right behind him. Unknown one lining up shots, but does miss the first one. He's going to... Dodoma's going to hide behind this rock to make it very difficult for any shots to actually land.
Hit point wise, it still does favor Scurry Hard because Dodo has more to play with, but he is getting ambushed now. Callus might drop, but that comes at the cost of almost all of Dodo's hit points. Unknown one wants to be able to go get there in time before Callus does. It's not in time, but can he do something because there's so many weak members?
Oh, 381, not able to kill him in one shot. Unknown one will take one more shot, and look at that, there is crossfire from the top. Thorn, 214 hit points, and can they get it? 194 hit points down. IS-3, he needs to even it up. Unknown one just needs to kill Dodoma right now, but they keep missing. Red base is captured!
Red base is captured! Wreak Havok has been able to capture it, and they will complete the comeback 3-2 and move on to the semifinals. Unbelievable! Did you just see what I saw, Greetor?
I didn't see it until the very end. Oh my
Tevix and Snipe for
goodness.
Food, absolutely stunning play and decision making in the most crucial time. We were preoccupied with Unknown One trying to clutch it for his team, but ultimately it's the T1s that make the difference. Who says that 42 points is irrelevant when you have those tier T1s?
I have so many chills going through me right now. That was so crushing and epic for Wreak Havok. And you know what? He was saying it. Soviet was saying in the very beginning, the 2 T1s were the MVPs on Himmelsdorf. Now they're doing it again over here on Airfield.
Soviet, give me your thoughts about that match in the entire series.
Amazing, very daring by Wreak Havok, bringing IS-3s, because IS-3s have bad depression on for Airfield. And Scurry Hard actually failed to realize the potential of the T-32s. The T-32s never got to the grinder to utilize the hull down positions. The T-1s, though, amazing play, sneaking into the base, taking the cap points, and the IS-3s from Wreak Havok being able to draw out the battle till they cap. Amazing.
They've done it again. Let me just tell you that. Their T1, it seems that Wreak Havok sometimes dies, but mostly lives off their T1 play. As again, they've managed to capture in the most important battle yet, and now have secured at least a top 4 finish. Phenomenal job. I'm absolutely thrilled to see them move on.
I know, and so fantastic because we see so many different styles with T1s being used as tripwires, as just big-ass wards. And over here, we can see that these T1s are used very aggressively, very positionally. You know, some people like to use them as, let's say, like MacG and Relics, just use suicide in and that's it. And of course, a MacG is used to kind of be the commander for everything, but the fact of the matter is we get to see such versatility in all of these players throughout WGLNA.
And while we are very happy for Wreak Havok, Scurry Hard has played a great season, and they've come short, but they did give us a great series as well. Please, one more round of applause for Scurry Hard. It's going to be tough. Lots of players on Scurry Hard played very well throughout the season. Blasi being a really strong anchor, Rylag, Dodo, all these guys, Kaneka coming all the way from Brazil, but falling to Wreak Havok. You know, I said it right before the season started in all the interviews. I thought this would be the closest match, and they did not disappoint. The Havok clans, the sister clans going at it, but in the end, the lower seeded team has finally upset the higher seeded team.
That's right, and we want to give a very special thanks yet again to Soviet. Thanks so much for joining us on the casting desk. It's been a complete pleasure.
You have any final words, Soviet?
Well, great job, Wreak Havok. I look forward to seeing them in the finals.
Ooh, all right. Soviet giving the vote of confidence for Wreak Havok. They better not disappoint. A man who never disappoints is Joshua Clutch Gray, who is ready with the winners with Wreak Havok. I want to hear what they have to say. Take it away, Clutch.
Thank you, gentlemen. Whoa. Seriously, guys, one of the biggest comebacks we have ever seen in World of Tanks. When we were first watching those matches, it was a bit of a camp fest going back and forth. It took a while to get going, and then Scurry Hard was up 2-0. After that, Snipe for Food, Thybane, what happened?
Well, you know, a little frustration those first two, you know, and we got back together. We got our calm collected. You know, I'd have to say, luckily, Thybane dropping his internet connection helped us because it gave us a minute to step back and breathe. We just dedicated, you know, and we stopped hesitating. Those first two matches, we were just hesitating a little bit too much. You know, everyone was excited. I was panicking a little bit too, but came back. Like I said, we got our calm, got our cool, came back, and we won.
And you had your momentum after that first victory. Thybane, when you were in those matches and you had your first win, was that boost of confidence? Could you feel it around? Were you guys shouting in TeamSpeak, we can do this, we can do this? What was it like after the first battle win that you had?
Well, we came back on a Himmelsdorf, and Himmelsdorf probably the most practiced maps for all teams. And the 5100 actually, it's my key. I always do the same stuff, and they just let me do that. They just let me do it. They didn't stop me. They bounced a lot of me. They bought the shots, so I just used the situation. Nothing more, nothing less. And as the Snipe said, yeah, the first games was a little bit kind of depressing. The Prokhorovka was just pure miscommunication. We knew that I'm gonna die, but I couldn't do any stuff. Like, we just locked ourselves up, so it was a payment, a loss. But the city maps, I was surprised myself, like how it worked out. Very nice, very nice. And the last map, believe it or not, we actually trained exactly this stuff. And we just, on the fly, that's how it works.
And that's what happens when you train as a team. Now,
not even so much to train, it's understanding. Like a lot of times you don't have even time to make a call. Either you make it, the 5-second window, and you have a chance to pass up. On the airfield, their position, they couldn't even let us pass on S3s past those hangars.
Yeah.
But since we did it so fast, they didn't have even a chance to shoot us. And we won a position with just wrapped around like net. And that's it. After this was just a bloody massacre around.
And you had those shots locked in too, and a lot of them, and a couple of them were missing, and we were all on the edge of our seats, back and forth in that battle between that dead tank, thinking, where's it gonna go, where's it gonna go, and then it actually capped. So it was incredible to see that. Now that you have a victory here at a live finals in Las Vegas, is this what you needed as a team to make it all the way? Can you see that $50,000 for yourself as a team? Is it more apparent to you, or does it feel even farther away now?
I'd say it's more apparent, and especially with the T1 outcapping like that in the last second again. That's twice that's happened to us, in case you guys haven't seen earlier. That happened on Abbey, where it was pretty much a loss with Strike White May. It was tied 2-2, and we capped the T1s again like that. So it's one of those things, you know, anything can happen in this, and we got lucky again, so why won't we get lucky tomorrow? You know, it's luck and skill, and we have both, so.
You do have both. Now, what we love to ask the players here is, if you did win the $50,000, what would you throw it down on, red or black?
I'd have to go with black.
Thybane?
I don't gamble. The ladies.
Straight to the bank. Oh, the ladies, right on. All right, well, straight to the bank, and then you tell the ladies, it's in the bank, baby. That's what I tell them. All right, guys, congratulations again. Incredible victory. What a great series, and best of luck to you tomorrow in the semifinals. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. It's the last match of the day, but it's not the last thing we're going to do today, because afterwards we're going to have our awards ceremony and also the All-Star match. Stay tuned. More action for World of Tanks after this.